they are self-motivated.
This is KTN News.
And welcome back. It's now 20 minutes to 7. And in case you're joining us now, welcome to Morning Express. This is definitely where we've got your morning covered. It's time for us to look at the dailies at around 7 o'clock. We're going to be shifting and looking at the way it is. But for now, let's start with the dailies. And joining me to have that conversation is Honorable Joe Mtambo, who's a former member of parliament from Mwingi Central. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
I hope you had a good and active weekend.
Oh, yes.
You did?
Yes.
I don't know if you had attended the BBI rallies. We'll be talking about that, but did you attend?
No, I did not.
You did
I was
not.
busy doing other matters.
Okay, we'll get to your analysis of that a little bit later on. But let's start off with the Standard's headline, where we have a number of stories that actually are on the front page of the Standard. But we'll start with the headline, which is vote-rich counties that could decide Raila-Ruto battle. And the analysis of the results show 14 counties will have more than half the potential of voters in 2022 and are likely to influence the outcome of the race to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. And of course, some of those counties, Nairobi being one of them, which has, vote basket of 3 million. Kiambu has 1.6. Nakuru has 1.3. So your thoughts, Honorable Mtambo? Of course, this is after the census. We now have results that kind of shape and show the numbers and where they are.
Correct. Speaking like a politician, is that you always go to the rich, not only counties, but rich areas. So these are the rich counties where people will concentrate, and it will depend on who has what support there. If a county does not have your support, then you count yourself out.
Right.
So it is very true that these counties will determine who will carry the day.
Who will carry the day.
Yes.
And of course, as a result, that is likely to see a very heavy presence of politicians in those areas to try and endear themselves to the people of those areas.
I don't know whether I'll be right to say the die is already cast. People, as we speak, they know which side they are on today. I know a day in politics is a long
time.
It's a long time. But I can tell you from the mood, because we go to the ground and we talk to people and we can listen what people are saying. It's like people have taken side. It's too early, but I can tell you it's like people have taken side. There are those who are with the Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila, and there are those who are with the Ruto. That one you cannot deny. It's only, I don't want to say a fool who would tell you otherwise. But the truth of the matter is, as it is of today, what happened yesterday and the day before, people have taken sides. You can tell.
And from your experience, these sides that are being taken, is it more to do with the hope that people have in the handshake between Raila and Uhuru, or is it still purely, more or less tribe-driven?
I don't think it is the handshake. I would say it is the BBI. People have taken positions in the BBI. And there are some people who think that when I go to the BBI, I'll get this position, I'll get that position. And because people are fighting for position, don't be cheated by anybody that there is nobody who has got no interest. Everyone has got interest. All these people you see attending the BBI rallies, they have their own interest. They want to claim positions in the running of this country. Nobody is going there just because they want to amend the constitution or they feel for the nation. If it is anybody who feels for the nation, it is the originators of the BBI themselves. Those are the people who sat down and said, you know what, we need to do something. And because now politicians like taking advantage of something, they have seen the BBI is getting support, and they want to get support in there. That's why you saw even ladies, women, they are there because they want to be up there, and they want to push for their affirmative action, the gender rule.
Parity, the gender
yes,
rule.
so that if it comes in, then they have opposition. That's why you saw, I've never seen Waiguru riot, but when Wanjala said something which was going against what she thinks, I'm here for this, she was almost flying.
All right,
yes.
And we'll come to BBI and its details and what really Kenyans think about it, particularly now that they've been doing county-to-county rallies, and whether that is really yielding fruit in terms of having a cohesive country and more so moving forward. But also on the front page of the Standard is a story of this young man, the last moments of slain Ruto office guard. And what details we have is so far that he may have committed, or rather he may have killed himself. But of course, from the stories now that are coming out, it's still under investigation. But a very worrying scenario of a young man who possibly may have taken his life, or there could be foul play.
Given the circumstances going around, and going by the fact that this is a matter which is still under investigation, I would want to strongly preserve my comments, because this is a young man whom I knew very well. I knew this man since 2013. I've been fighting him in DP's office since 2013. And it is somebody who was so humble, somebody whom you not even imagine something like this would happen to him. When we hear that he committed suicide, for those of us who know him, we cast some aspersions. We are a little bit hesitant to believe, but you never know. This is a matter which is under investigation. We don't know what transpired, and we trust that I saw Kinoti leading the investigation himself. And we have a lot of faith in Kinoti,
right.
And we are sure that he's going to give us the accurate information or accurate results of what transpired. Because exactly as of now, we are just getting rumors that this happened, that happened, and we are just suspecting it could be murder, it could be suicide. We do not have concrete information to rely on.
What happened. Of course, yes. It's a matter that is subject to investigations, and as a result, we leave it at that. But according to the story that is here, and you need to get yourself a copy of the Standard to read it, is that apparently from those who knew him a little bit more, Kimei, he was a little bit perturbed and worried after the arrest of the former CS Echesa. But do get yourself a copy of the Standard and read what those details are. And as we wait for the investigative arms of government to give us a more solid report after investigations. On to page 5 is a story that is basically giving us details of where Kenya's wealthiest live. And apparently, Nairobi, Lang'ata, Westlands lead in the country's richest neighborhoods. And of course, if we look at percentages, it's not a very huge percentage that lives in those areas, but there's also another, story just below that talks about more than 20,000 Kenyans live on the streets. And this, for me, rather than concentrate on just, where the Kenya's wealthiest live and the poorest live, is the question of when, as a country, we shall be able to balance our economy so that we do not have extremely rich people and extremely poor people. Do you foresee, because this is again a political scenario, where we have the wealthy becoming extremely wealthy and continuing to be that way, and the poor continue to become extremely poor?
Going by what is happening in our country today, if you are a businessman, you will understand that the poor will still continue being poor, because even the banking institutions, they don't respect the poor. If you walk into a bank with someone who is rich and another one who is poor, the banks or the financial institution will consider the rich. And actually, I want to tell you, it is those rich people who devote most. The poor people, if you go to the chama mamas and these small organizations, youth, they normally take their responsibilities very seriously. I don't know whether it is true that the rich in Lang'ata, and I don't know how far Lang'ata extends, because I reach there and I live there, and I consider myself not a rich man, so I don't know.
Mheshimiwa Mtambo, from the details we have of politicians and you're one, I think one goes into politics and they move from...
No, I don't know why they get that concept. Most of the people who live in Kibera is in Langata. We don't consider them that rich. They are moderate living Kenyans, and actually they are hardly making their 2 meals a day. So I don't know. I don't want to totally agree with that. But maybe they have their narratives. Maybe they are counting.
I think it's based on the census that was carried out, which we're getting the results now. But anyway, I guess it is arguable as to whether the rich are there. But it is true that that divide is very wide, the difference between the very rich and the very poor.
Yes, it is.
That
it is,
gap needs to be narrowed.
And I hope that Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta is doing something about that, because at the end of the day, the bulk stops it. Attempt is him who should come up with the way forward on how to bridge the gap, because that is the man we are relying on, and it is him to say this is the direction to go. And you are here when we were discussing about the interest rates. You see, those are some of the things which limit people from trying to upscale their living. And it is quite tight. I can tell you it's quite tight. Today, the economy is too bad. Kenyans used to do very well. You could find common Kenyans having money in their pockets and business going around. But today, something is wrong. And we need to find what is that healing Kenya. And I will not shy to tell the authorities that something is wrong somewhere.
Absolutely.
Something is wrong somewhere, and we need to find out what is it that is wrong. Those people who used to flock in the street doing their businesses, today they are not. Reading from a business point of view, I'm one person who knew how Nairobi was before, and I could wake up and by a week or so you could have something. Today you are going, even the landlords. And if you want to know how the country is doing badly, just go to your newspapers. You will see how many people are being auctioned. Yeah, that is what will tell you that there's something
things are not going on. Yeah, and of course, one of the things, and there's an article that has been written by an economist, Ken Ohashi, and how can Kenya escape the corruption trap? And of course, one of the things that ails us as a country and has kept our economy troubled and, in turbulent times is corruption. Of course, the question of corruption, because when we look at our budgets, when we look at how much the government is spending, it is spending a lot of money, but unfortunately, it's going into people's pockets as opposed to going to things that would build the economy.
That is very, very true. And you see, we keep on expanding the corruption zones. The moment we expand the offices, I'm not saying that, you remember, I was the first person to propose that we reduce the counties.
Right.
The moment you give government money to many offices, those offices you are expanding the corruption zones, not economic zones. They are corruption zones. When you have 47 chiefs stealing from you, it's not like when you have 2 or 10 or 5. The lesser the number, I'm not saying it's better, but whatever they steal is less.
The effects would probably be less than,
but the spiral effects of many thieves in the country is very wanting, and that will take this country down the drain. And I'm surprised, because even today we are calling for more counties. And my opinion is that if the 47 we have, we are getting, we are in trouble in managing them. How are we going to manage the more counties we are asking for? And the other thing is how we collect also our revenues. You remember during municipalities, then the municipals could bring in some cash to the exchequer. Today, the counties are not doing so. I have no problem with the counties getting whatever amount of money they are asking. Give them even 50%. Let even Kenyans pay more taxes, but let Kenyans get the services
the value
for that money. That would be my take. If the counties want more money, I would suggest that because they are asking this money from the central government, let the central government also collect in the counties. Let the central government be the one to collecting the taxes on the county, collecting those levies, because at the end of the day, the counties will come and demand this higher percentage of revenue share, of government share. If we go that route, maybe something can change. But if you leave them to collect, and then they are not submitting whatever they are collecting, and then at the end of the day, they still want a big chunk of what has been collected, I think that will not be a right thing.
All right, and well, that we're looking at the dailies and looking at what's making headlines this morning in the Standard. That's what's basically there. Of course, there's many other stories in the Standard that one can catch up with, so do get yourself a copy. And we now want to move to the Nation, the Daily Nation, which has the headline, making of a breakup. But as I do that, I'd also like to, welcome Ambrose Weda, Canon Ambrose Weda. Thank you for coming in. Earlier on, I asked your friend Joe Mtambo where you are, and he said maybe you stopped to preach to somebody as you are coming here. So, karibu sana, it's unusual. Weda, I'll even defend him and say that he's normally very good on keeping time. So we are happy that you're here. But now to the Daily Nation, where the headline is making of a breakup. Now, this is a breakup between the president and the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. Many of us will remember in 2017 when they came into power, there was what was termed as bromance between the two of them, to a point where they'd even wear matching clothes. You'd have the red tie and the white shirt. They'd fold their sleeves together, but that seems to have sort of dissipated over time. So the question is, what may have gone wrong? Whether, let me welcome you with this story.
Thank you.
And maybe you can give us insight as to what possibly may have gone wrong between these two.
My thinking is this, that, sorry about arriving late. There was a slight accident on the road that has kept me there almost 2 hours. But what I think is this, in the Uhuru one is the first term of the
First term of his presidency.
That was a period that the deputy president was, in fact, the major player. He was the person who was in charge, and he stepped on some toes. The people he stepped on, without knowing, I think, thinking they are very close with the president. And in the Uhuru too, he is not so much at the center. And these people may be at the center. So his problem, number one, is not with the president. His problem is with some of these people that he stepped on. Now, added to the fact that now there is the handshake led by Honorable Raila, who believes that the only stumbling block between him and the presidency is Honorable Ruto. Now, these things have confounded his position. I really do not think that between him and the president, man to man, mundu to mundu, there's enmity. It is all about power.
Power.
People that he had in the Uhuru one, and the coming in of Honorable Raila, who honestly believes that if you put Ruto out of the way, it will be free walk
For
him into the presidency. Looking at all those put together, fire now is being fueled. Added to the third term, the third fact that he's also perceived to have collected a lot of money so fast. So his age mates, generations, people who think they have been there, are also feeling very jealous. How could he have made all this money, and which is giving all of us? So those three factors, I think, become his Waterloo.
All right. Honorable Mtambo, your thoughts on the genesis of the cracks between the president and the deputy president?
I am a Jubilee member, and both of them are my boss. I'm my party leaders. And I get script from my party leader. And up to now, I have not received any instructions, or he has not declared to us that, you know what, as members, there is a problem here, and we need to change the way we do business. The loyalty is like this, like that. I have not heard. Yes, I'm sure. So I heard somebody saying that even Steve Wonder will tell you there is a problem.
Despite being blind, he can see that there is a problem.
Yeah, I heard somebody say that. But my take is that there is a lot of things going on in our house. And like Weda has alluded, is that the handshake has cost. We cannot deny that. On the right hand, handshake has cost peace, has brought peace and harmony in this country. There is harmony. People are not fighting in the street anymore. That one we cannot deny. But you see where the handshake went to land. It went to land in the House of Jubilee, and that caused a lot of jitteries. And I can tell you there are so many people who are not happy, and it's only those who can persevere, who can learn to understand that this is happening for the good of the nation. They would be able to keep quiet and to be calm. There are so many things which will make people squabble or fight about, because, you know, there's a reason why people go for an election. We go for an election, and there's a reason why people support others. There's a reason why people come out to support someone or to support the government. You support the government because you know even if you lose or you will not make it, you'll be somewhere in that government, or you'll be either respected in that circle. But the moment you either lose your position or you lose your seat or you don't get what you anticipated to get because you support it. Because I want to tell you for free, there are so many people, me being one of them, who lost their seat, not because they were not popular, but because they supported Jubilee. There are so many Kenyans, that's the truth. There are so many Kenyans out there who supported Jubilee, and they thought that after supporting Jubilee, I will be somewhere.
Right.
But when you see what is happening, that even when appointment comes, the person who was fighting you is the one who is picked, and you are left. That also, as a human being, you will feel something. But it takes humility for you to understand it's happening to build the nation, to bring the nation together. And if people has got more faith, they do not have that humility, then you will see their faces showing it off, showing what is in their heart. So that is what is happening in our country. There are supporters also, not only the, you know, when a team is playing and a team loses, it is not the players who get hurt most. It is the supporters. It is not the players of Gor Mahia who throw stones. It is the supporters of Gor Mahia who throw stones. So there are also supporters of those leaders who they had a lot of faith in, and they thought that because now we have won, we have gotten the government, our leaders will be somewhere, then that does not happen, or is not seen happening, then those leaders, I mean those supporters, they will also come together and tell their leaders, those supporters, they'll tell their leaders, you know what, we feel something is going on here and we need to shut our way forward, and that's why you see now the headline, making of a breakup. That is what you see. It is coming out of what is in people's heart. The people will lead, because the power is with the people, not with an individual.
Not with an individual.
The power of Mwingi Central is with the people of Mwingi Central, not with the Joe Motambo or the member of parliament who is there. It is the people. And if majority of those people are not happy, then it will not be a bed of roses, and things will not be right in that area.
And of course, part of the reason why there seems to be that rift, and many will read into it, as much as I'm sure those in the DP's camp would say that we are over reading into it, is a consistent trend that we are seeing. We started with the CS Rotich being removed out of office. That was DP's ally. We now have Echesa, who, of course, was fired, number one, but now there seems to have been deals which apparently were procured or were, you know, cooked in the DP's office, right under his nose. Whether do you think this is something that we should read into politically, or could it just be that the president, as he declared, we're going to have a fight over corruption, it just happens to be individuals who who are allied to the deputy president?
No, first of all, I don't think the former CS Treasury was allied to the deputy president. That was a workmate to the president when they were in the treasury, when they were there. So I think more it was the president who decided, I want this fellow. But the way he shepherded the economy and the way he was borrowing left, right, and center, it should have been fired earlier. We did not have waited for for the corruption charges, whether it was president's friend or Weda's friend or the deputy president. Chesa himself was a mistake in the first place. In fact, we were worried if Ruto was to become president and bring such characters into cabinet, then we'll only need God. So those ones, they may have been allies to people, but their time for living should have come earlier. Someone like Chesa should not have been inside cabinet. We should have been inside county government there as a CEC. So, but we also must acknowledge that there is a question of corruption, that the president has to do something because the buck stopped with him. And in this mess, the deputy president has been projected as very corrupt. Whether he's corrupt or not, I don't know. But everybody thinks he was part of the problem. Therefore, when it comes to the fight of corruption, it will be very wrong to see that it is a president fighting the deputy. But the president also taking to slow down the deputy from accelerating and overshadowing the president in his last term, because now everybody is angling for the next president. We are not angling for the current one.
Right.
And in the next 1 year, the president will be relevant. He will be talking about who is it going to be Raila? Is it going to be Mutambo? Is it going to be Kalonzo? And those are the people, when they call meetings, will run. When the president calls meetings, say, no, let him retire in peace. So to stop all these things, he has to restamp his position. It happens to be that in that process, the deputy president is a casualty. And in also the deputy president, for him to prepare for power, to take over, he is marshalling his troops, therefore creating two centers of power. And I can see now with the handshake, he's angling for a fight. For him to remain relevant, he is angling for a fight. And that fight, he seems to be prepared to take over the president and Honorable Raila on one side. The excuse is likely to be BBI. And the BBI I'm talking about is not the one which has been released, but the one which is...
The one you keep calling BBI too.
Yes, the one which will say powerful prime minister, more things which Kenyans will say we don't want. If that was to come out, he will break out and take on these two.
Okay, we'll wait, and BBI is part of the discussion that you're going to be having. But as we wind up, Joe Mutambo, your thoughts on the consistent, track we've seen now on those possibly thought to have been close to the DP being removed from office. Do you think that is a strategic move that is being made by Jubilee?
I said it, and I'm going to repeat. I have not heard that narrative from my party. What I'm getting is just people coming up with all sort of suggestions and analysis and political analysis saying that this is what is going to happen. But I have not heard that, and I don't think that our president is keen on doing that. You know, when we say that Ruto is corrupt, and we sing that song for 2 years, because we started singing that song for 2 years, you want to tell me all those people who say Ruto is corrupt, they do not have a single evidence which they can walk into DCI office and record a statement and say this is what I have against Ruto? You know, it's quite disturbing to talk about something and you do not stand. If I dare say today Ruto is corrupt, I will say there at the doorstep of DCI office. I will not say it here. I will not sing he is corrupt, he is this, he is that, and I am not inducing any evidence to help not only the DCI but my country from being looted. If we love this country so much, like the way we hear, and Ambrose will tell you, for God loved the world so much, he gave his only son. So, if you love this country so much, and you know Ruto is a corrupt man, what are you waiting for if you love this country? Those people are saying Ruto is corrupt, and they are not adducing any evidence. Then they are the enemies of this country. I would call them the enemy. They don't love this country. I would walk to Masingira and tell Kinoti, I want an appointment, I have some evidence that so and so, Wenda here is corrupt, Michael here is so corrupt. Instead of singing in a funeral, I would go there and give present the evidence. That is the only cure to this song. Otherwise, Kenyans will be treated to this song, so and so is corrupt. So even our children will grow up knowing that so and so is corrupt. But who is this corrupt man who is untouchable? Absolutely. And our law is very clear. Our law is very clear, and whether it's a lawyer will tell you, apart from the president who has got immunity, there is no other person who cannot be prosecuted.
Absolutely. I want to pose you because of time.
Let me just add something on the narrative.
Very briefly.
Yeah, just briefly. The narrative that the people are being sacked are allied to the deputy president. If the president was going for people who are allied to the deputy president, the cabinet, he would start with Qatar. Then he would go to the lands. You can see Qatar is much more closer to the deputy president than all these others. So this narrative is just being peddled outside.
Okay. We'll take a pause there, and when we come back, we're going to be concentrating and looking at BBI. This is Morning Express. In case you're joining us now, we're taking a short break, but when we come back, we're going to be looking at what has been happening and possibly what the BBI is all about, the nitty-gritties about the BBI, and